This week on the Misfit podcast, we discuss 15.4 and whether or not your handstand push-ups are good or not.
This week, we talk about 15.4 and getting the best score you can possibly get.
And your shitty handstand push-ups.
And Sherp's grammar.
It's pretty good.
The first movement
Handstand
in
push-ups.
15.4 is really
Handstand push-ups.
handstand push-ups.
So bad at push-ups.
Second movement is cleans at 185 pounds.
Oh my god.
Now we're talking!
So, Cody, April 10th through the 12th at Drake and CrossFit, Williamsburg, Virginia. What's going on there?
Yes, myself, Alex Smith, the whole Misfit crew will be doing a camp down there. The link is on the website. You can go ahead and sign up.
MisfitAthletics.com.
MisfitAthletics.com. If you haven't, go ahead. We'll be running a nice camp down there. I think it's the only one we're doing before regionals.
I think you're right.
What do we go over at camp?
Oh, we go over everything. We go over
Everything.
Clean and jerk, snatch, handstand push-up, a lot of gymnastics. Just a lot of like
What
moving
kind of hair gel
efficiently.
you use?
Exactly. Yep.
Do you
things
think
like
the
that.
people that went to the camp are going to benefit with the new handstand push-up standard? The answer is yes.
Yes, 100%.
They will.
Yeah, they definitely will.
Okay. What else we got?
Sure,
Joe?
show them the T-shirt. New T-shirt. Go ahead and come on, spin around. Let's
around.
go.
Ooh, look at
Don't worry, your
that.
tiny calves won't show because it's the.
we're not doing calf sleeves. We're doing T-shirts.
All right.
Thank God.
T-shirts are going on sale, misfitgear.com on Sunday. We are going to choose one person that subscribes to our YouTube channel between now and the 15.5 podcast, and we're going to give you a free T-shirt. All you got to do is sign in to Google, YouTube, whatever, and then click subscribe.
I haven't subscribed to our channel. Can I win?
I mean, you might be the random person chosen. That'd be pretty cool.
That would be pretty funny.
I'll
Yeah.
personally write you a note as well.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to subscribe.
Yep.
I don't want your crayon
He does
note.
write great notes. Ask Cam, ask any of those guys.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
You know what?
Welcome to episode 8 of the Misfit Podcast. We have just done 15.4.
Yep.
I'm losing track already. Very interesting short couplet. We found some new standards that we haven't seen before within the whole sport, and I think the biggest thing we need to talk about tonight is those standards because they are a major game changer, right? So we just
sure.
did it, and Drew, what do you think about the standards?
The standards for me, because I have really good flexibility, weren't too bad. The biggest
Good for you.
change is the shoulder pump as you're waiting for your judge to make sure it's a rep. It's much different.
Yes.
I felt my traps get into it a lot more, kind of reaching a little bit to try to get up there. So if you're the type of person that overextends in these, or you're the type of person with bad shoulder flexibility, you are going to have a bad time. Doesn't matter what your capacity
So
is.
basically, the biggest thing for this standard, because of the measurement with your toes against the wall, is making sure that you don't give up any space in any direction. So whether that's feet going out, whether that's hands away from the wall or hands wide on the floor, all of those angles you create
or
changes.
overextension.
Or
I mean, that was
overextension,
probably
right.
the ones that I missed.
All of those different variables will change whether your feet reach that line. And I know I had a major problem with it. My hands are well within the old regional standard, but it still wasn't close enough for my heels to come up on about half my reps. Cody no-rep the shit out of me to the point where I was doing handstand push-ups and then a small shrug at the top to make sure that I was getting all the way up, and I had to have like a half-second pause, and it burned me out faster than any handstand push-up WOD has ever burned me out. So what do you guys think people can do to set up to avoid my poor decision-making?
Definitely try it out. Sorry, sure. Definitely try it out before you do it. Make your line. Try a few things. I think that you're going to have to be closer to the wall than you normally are. And at the top, your feet cannot be spread apart at all. I mean, you didn't spread your feet apart too much, maybe like a foot or so.
Would you say they stayed within my shoulder width, though,
Yes.
which was the old standard?
Yes,
So I'm meeting
100%.
the old standard on shoulder width with hands. I'm meeting the old standard with the width of my hands on the floor, yet I'm still not meeting the standard that we learned tonight. So
Yep. Yep.
That just kind of puts it in
Well, one of the things at
perspective.
regionals that they were trying to get away from was people keeping their head and their torso behind their hands, which actually will keep you, in some regards, depending on how far away you are from the wall, a little bit shorter.
Right, absolutely.
So as you poke your head through, your body's going to raise up a little bit. It's going to put you in a straight line.
And what we saw with Josh Bridges is he had that habit of looking down at the floor when he first started, and that caused that overextension all the way through his spine, and his foot was a couple centimeters short of the line. He was given the reps early in the workout because it looked like they didn't want to no rep him and screw the workout up in the first 2 minutes. But later on, as things developed, he started losing reps. So, I mean, that's one thing that I'm actually personally worried about with this. And I know this is not a topic we usually cover, but judging in affiliates, especially judging with some of the higher level top 20 athletes, I'm not sure that a lot of the judges are going to keep the standard fair for everybody. And that doesn't mean that I think people should break the rules or cheat or measure 3.5 inches instead of 3 or whatever. But there's definitely going to be some
Your video is just
play.
going to get rejected.
Yeah, that's
yes,
another
I mean,
thing.
yeah.
I think this will be the video that they choose if they do choose. So there's no need to not, like Scott Panchak did, hold it a little bit more at the top. Make sure you're getting all reps, because if there's any sketchy things, they will take reps away. This could definitely
And
be
it
a
would be
video
one
they
that if you
choose.
cheated, it might be really hard to repeat.
Absolutely.
And you could be in 5th place and lose your spot at the CrossFit Games or the regionals.
So you said something about pausing at the top. Do you think that pausing is actually a safe play even for that quarter second, half second? Or do you think it's better to try to get up there, make that quick kick, and come right back down to save the shoulders? What do you think?
I think that definitely pausing, waiting for your judge to say that's a rep, and then coming back down is fine. Scott Panchak did it the whole time. It's not a big pause. It's not enough to push your head through, get all overextended, things like that, but it's just enough so that it's a clear rep.
Just a little bit more methodical than you normally
Exactly,
would in a
exactly.
training piece.
So how important is choosing a good judge, especially if you're trying to make that top 20 or trying to contribute to a team? Is it important to make sure you seek out a judge who has, going to keep you in line, make sure you're meeting the standard, and doesn't make you wait that half second at the top? I mean, do you think that's part of the game plan this week, is really handpicking that judge?
I was also thinking, if you're kicking up into that handstand push-up over and over again, if you're firing through a bunch of them, this could be a different strategy. We could be totally wrong with this too, but if you're firing through a bunch of handstand push-ups and your judge is fast enough to count, it might be worth missing 1 or 2 here and there to spend less time under tension. But I don't know if you guys agree with me with that. Just because if I watch
8
Drew,
minutes, that's not
I say
short.
I watched Drew do that over and over again. He get to the top, and when the ones where he had to push a little bit further, he started to overextend, and that's when his heels bended lower than the line, and all of a sudden he started missing reps. So,
Yeah,
I believe the word is
know.
bent.
bending, bent.
I'm not sure I would agree with giving away reps, but at the same time, I know that I was pushing and doing a little pause to wait for Cody's signal of a good rep, and that was on me because I wasn't meeting the standard. As soon as my heels met the standard, he would tell me to get my ass back down. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about giving up work. I know my shoulders burned out way earlier than they ever have on a handstand push-up workout because I had to use that extra half-inch push each time. But I don't know how I feel about giving away work like that.
But back to your whole picking your judges type thing, I think this is definitely, you pick a judge that's knows the standards, not scared, nothing to say, when you're done the workout, I thought a few of them were close. You don't want to have any questions when you're
nothing like
done this.
that.
You want to pick a
Absolutely.
judge that's going to be fair. He's going to no rep you when you no rep and things like that. Because honestly, what is it, 5 reps and make you redo your, once they watch your video, if you have 5 bad reps,
Yeah, it's like a
It's
major
taken away.
penalty. I think a major penalty is 15% off your score or something, right?
So
Right away?
that's nothing when you're doing these handstand push-ups. I mean, there could be 5 reps that are really shady, really fast. So
How tight do you think the pack's going to be on something like this? Because it's not a lot of reps. I don't even remember Panchek's score, but 140
147.
something? So 147. You might see people get, 160 something. And on the low end for those higher level athletes, I mean, Bridges was in the 120s.
122,
So,
yeah.
122. Okay, so if you go plus or minus, you have maybe a span of 50 reps plus or minus that middle area, and you have how many thousands of athletes that are going to be in those 50 reps? So how
A lot.
How many positions do those extra 2 good reps or those extra 2 cleans get you in this workout? I mean, pretty big deal. It's kind of like the deadlift box jump. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, when at the start, the cleans, you don't really need to go that hard. But if you get into a situation where you're starting to break up the handstand push-ups, you go back to those cleans, and it's everything you got to hammer those out. I mean, they're still going to be singles, but you got to get right back to the wall if we're talking about the final 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
So we haven't even talked about that. Why don't you talk about how you would strategize the cleans? I know it's a very small part of the workout.
I would definitely do singles the entire time. I think that goes without saying for most people. You get 0 points for lowering the bar back down.
Right.
Josh Bridges was not faster. He was letting the bar rip him back down. Then he was reestablishing tension from the floor, which isn't really touch and go. So
this whole workout caught him off guard. He didn't have a good show.
I think he was just ready to rock.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter what the workout was. But in terms of the cleans, I mean, if you go too hard at the start, I think this workout's going to catch up to you a little bit. I think you need to leave a little bit of extra juice for the last push, because if you get your heart rate through the roof, if you're flying back and forth and you're starting to deal with that shoulder fatigue, I think you might see a situation where someone that, approaches the water a little bit more like Froning will pass you.
Do you think people in that top 20, if they going for that top 20 range, if they stick to singles, do you think they can actually jack themselves up enough to affect the handstand push-ups? Because there's so few cleans and the weight is so reasonable for these guys that it's, in my mind, the whole workout is handstand push-up endurance.
100%.
If you keep it singles on the bar, do you think you can screw yourself anywhere else?
No.
So you cannot go too hard with singles, basically?
No.
Okay, I agree.
I don't think so
I'm
at
in
all.
agreement. What do you guys think?
It paces you out perfectly. It's just like the 14.4 last year, where you had to do a lot of people did singles and the cleans in that long chipper workout, where if you did touch and go, it might smoke you later on for the muscle ups. So
we have 100% consensus that no matter who you are, you're doing singles on the cleans and you're only worried about handstand push-ups?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you saw, like, perfect example, Scott Panchek. He had fast singles. I mean, they were efficient.
Sure.
Fast singles. He would walk back to his handstand push-up bar, take a few deep breaths, try to get the heart rate down. His handstand push-up, not bar. Try to get his heart rate back down, and then he'd start going on his handstand push-ups, walk back to his bar, start his singles. They're fast singles. He wasn't stepping away from the bar. He was letting the bar bounce. And the minute it was done bouncing, he'd grab back onto his feet, weren't moving.
So
things
no
like
walking
that.
away. You just hit singles. You stay
in
right
the
at your
same
bar.
spot. You bend down. And
Yep.
you try to grab the bar with a setback.
Don't
ready to
confuse
pull, things like
composure
that.
with being slow. He was
Right.
just composed. He knew what he was doing. He was keeping his heart rate down on purpose. That definitely helps.
So, all right, so let's go back to the handstand push-ups because we tend to all agree that is this entire workout and meeting that standard. If you're playing with this in your gym and you're not meeting the standard, or you're very inconsistent with meeting the standard, do you force yourself still to go tomorrow with this, kind of questionable, am I going to be able to hit my range of motion? Am I not? Or do you play with it tomorrow, look at some of the other videos being posted, try to figure out what works best, and then maybe hit it Saturday and give yourself another shot Sunday, Monday, something like
If
that?
you're really dealing with you're overextending, you have the shortened range of motion, and you're struggling. If you're struggling with early sets, you are in really big trouble, because overextension shows up in the best athletes in the world later on in workouts when it's high rep.
Right.
So if you're struggling really bad, if you're, a half inch to an inch over the line and you're just doing singles to practice, you need to reevaluate almost everything about your handstand push-ups to be able to meet the standard.
Yeah, you've seen a lot of high-end athletes with a lot of very poor handstand push-ups, so I think we all have.
I think realistically too, the workout's pretty short. You're going to be doing somewhere between 100 and maybe 130 reps. It's not going to be super damaging to your body, I don't feel. I mean, you guys disagree with me on that? Like, it's not going to be super stressful on your body. Like, you could kind of pace this one out, get a feel for, are you doing things properly? Do you need to spend more time figuring out where your hands go, where your feet should be?
So quick math, you're looking at maybe on the absolute high end, like somewhere between 50 and 70 cleans if you're absolutely killing this workout, right? So that's not really.
Yeah, I mean,
So
Drew just
the
did.
first round's 9. The first 3 rounds will get you 9, right?
Yep.
So 27 if you finish 6 rounds of that, and then plus another 36. You could be at 61 if you get through 9 rounds, which brings you to the round of 27 handstand push-ups. And we didn't see
No.
anywhere.
They didn't make it that far. They made it to the round of 24 handstand push-ups.
So we're looking at 40 to 50 cleans on the high end, which isn't really
at a very workable weight.
Right,
too. Like,
right. Which isn't a big
traps
deal.
a little sore, but it's not going to take you out. So, like, you won't be there Monday, be like, oh, man, I'm still sore.
It doesn't even really matter if they're sore. They're not that hard.
right. And so that leaves us with somewhere between 70 and 90 handstand push-ups on the high end. I mean, that's something that the top 20 guys should be able to do almost
in 2
every
sets.
day. Well, no, yeah, almost in 2 sets, exactly, if you were actually doing a training piece or a test or something. But I'm saying, like, that's not something where you're so sore for the next 2 days you can't go again. You could probably warm up, voodoo floss, and do the same thing over again, right?
It's also different from the muscle workout we just did because your heart rate's going to be lower. You're not going to be
Sure.
with your heart rate quite as jacked up from the double unders and the muscle ups. This is something that's going to keep your heart rate, I think, relatively low
Think about how
compared to
short the
other-
range of motion is. I mean,
Exactly.
it's longer than it's ever been for a handstand push-up, but the motion itself is very, very short.
Muscle endurance. It's not that cardiovascular like breathing.
But what again with the whole heart rate thing? As you saw Pan Check take that little pause at the top, you notice every time he took that pause, waiting for his rep to be good, he took a nice breath. You go back down to.
I didn't notice that. So
yeah,
at the top, he took a breath
He was
every time.
breathing every time. He was trying to keep his heart rate down as much as he could when he was doing those handstand push-ups. You don't want to be holding your breath, coming off the wall,
No.
then sucking wind, going down your knee, things like that. So he stayed very composed in both movements, and that's why I think he came out on top of this one.
Let's talk about form. We got to talk about the handstand
Man.
push-up, how you do it, because we go to training camps and we teach gymnastics, weightlifting, rowing, efficiency and barbell cycling, all these different things. And one of the biggest surprising moments for attendees at camp is how we teach handstand push-ups.
Yeah, for sure.
And luckily for the decision we've come to as coaches on how we do them, that's exactly how you need to do them
For this workout.
Yeah,
absolutely.
If you're the type that keeps your knees together and brings them down out in front of you, you have to reestablish the position of your pelvis, and almost everybody that does that bumps their butt off the wall before they kick straight up. So what we ask our athletes to do is maintain that straight spine, keep the pelvis neutral, and we kind of do the butterfly where your knees are pushing out, feet are staying together. Not only are you not going to bump yourself off the wall and overextend, but we ask that, it's just physics. You keep your feet together, you kick as hard as you can straight up, you're going to generate the most power. Feet together is the longest you can be. It's going to get you the closest to the standard. Now, there are differing opinions on this, but for this workout, I feel like it's cut and dry. We use Cody as an example, as the video example at camp, because his torso is completely in line with his hips, his knees, his ankles, and he slides in space.
Straight up and down.
And down in a straight line. Now, Cody can overhead squat with his hands together with a barbell, and his torso stays vertical. So this is not something that everybody's going to be able to do. But it's something that you need to strive for in this, because it's going to completely change your workout. He's not going to have to change anything that he does about his handstand push-ups. Maybe you're better than Cody at handstand push-ups, but you do them differently and they're not going to meet the standard. So
certainly pays to be flexible in this standard.
it does. And I have pretty good shoulder flexibility, and it was still tough for me towards the end. Once I started to get a little bit of that lower back pump, I had to really do the overextended handstand push-up, and it was marginal, but it was still somewhat overextended, and then raise myself into a straight line and then come back down. And that's murder on your traps.
My
and shoulders.
issue was because my normal position when I kicked up, I got a little overextended when I was tired, sort of forced myself out of that. I had to get closer to the wall to make sure I was kicking perfectly straight up and down with the wall, and all I would do is kick up, meet the standard for a second, and I would fall off. So I ended up doing near singles at the end because my form's not the best, my flexibility is not great. I either had the choice of getting no rep to being overextended or not being able to hold the balance against the wall. And granted, I'm not anywhere near a top 20 athlete, but I also probably still have better shoulder mobility than a lot of these big guys out there today that are competing. So
it's they're
going to find that to be a problem.
It's going to be interesting to watch.
There was years ago when there were people that were not making it to the games or were failing reps at regionals because, what was it, 30 inches or something was the width? They couldn't even get their hands inside 30 inches. This is like 24 or less. So something to think about. It's really going to take some time.
I also won't hurt you to find out before, like, where your hands can be. Make some tape lines, something like that, just so something you can look at and put your hands there every time. So it just gives you a little something, because, if you have a chalk mark, it's going to get all sweaty. Handstand push-ups are a very sweaty movement. So
it's a
give
great
yourself
idea.
something there to put your hands on, so that way you know you're the same spot every time. You're just moving the same way.
I think it's a good idea. So what if you're one of those guys that has that issue with your lower back pumping out in the middle of WODs? Do you just keep going on? Do you break in the middle and kind of reevaluate what you've been doing and try again later? What do you suggest for those guys?
I would say the biggest thing on each movement, setting your back on each clean and being pretty maniacal about it, like really thinking about bracing lower spine, pushing into the pelvic floor a little bit, your grundle.
Push it.
Push it.
Push the grundle.
That stuff is going to save you later on in the workout. I can see people flying through the early rounds because of how jacked up they are and then dealing with the consequences of it after. So
I think that's going to be a major
There
issue.
are a
for
lot of
people.
people. There are a lot of people out there that have the issue of their QLs. You know, the muscles in the low back here. I'm always rubbing on people.
You like your hand disappeared behind him, and I didn't
I
know
know.
where it was going, so I just was like,
did
just
he kinda
go with
goose
it.
up a little bit?
C squeezed.
Spin around.
Clenched.
These.
Oh,
Very interesting way to point.
Yeah. You like that? Everybody's been there. Your low back pumps out, but this is one where you're going from pulling from the floor, and if you don't push with your legs from the floor and you don't set your back, and then you go into overextension, it could be pretty ugly, and it could also inhibit you from retrying the workout. If your lower back locks up, it's not going to be very much fun the next few days.
luckily, I mean, obviously it's an issue we hear about this all the time with people having those lower back issues. But if you are getting to the point where, aside from the cleans, your lower back is becoming an issue on the wall, you're probably not getting reps anyway.
No.
So, I mean, it's pretty unlikely.
The ones where I felt
Very
it, I
small
was
and
doing
very-
toe tap. I was doing the
Right.
tap of the heels just to try to get them so I could come back down and reset.
So not only is setting your spine important for not having that back pump out, but you're also going to have a 0 in the workout. So
Right.
pretty straightforward there.
Yeah.
What do you think, Cody? You got to watch, you got to judge. What's cruising through your head right now with knowing that you're going to go tomorrow and using
only
what
8
you
minutes.
just saw? 8 minutes.
It goes by really fast.
We did something
Yeah, it did.
very similar to this. I mean, it was strict handstand push-ups with 185 power cleans. It was 10 down to 1.
Amazing.
Yeah, really, huh? Yeah, I mean, that workout I did not take a good approach. I did all 10 power cleans unbroken. Did my 10 strict handstand push-ups. My heart rate was through the roof, and then I went to singles, and then I had to get my heart rate down while still doing single power cleans, so that wasn't fun. But I mean, I still had a good score on that. I think I was like 7 something, so it's going to be a very similar workout. I mean,
So you got 110 and 7 and change starting
I think
with,
I was like 710 or something like
starting
that.
with
yeah.
higher sets. So in this one, you get to start lower, stay fresh, and build up to
Yep.
that, which I think is actually beneficial.
Me too, yeah. But I just think it's definitely taking the deep breath between movements, and when you're working, being more like the most efficient you can be with the power cleans, not stepping back, handstand push-ups, trying not to overextend, getting, kicking your feet straight up, keeping your heels together at the top so you are as long as possible. It's just the simple things definitely add up in this workout.
So you're like a handstand push-up monster. Would you jump on a set of strict to start to try to increase your speed?
No, not at all.
Thank God, that's
Not
the
at all.
right answer. Would you, Sherb?
Yes.
So you can only do like 3 or 4 strict, and then you're done anyway.
That's all I
He's
need.
just showing off his max.
That's all
set
I
in round
need.
one.
That's right, max set of strict handstand
all I
push-up
need.
for Sherb. You made up half a second.
So, I don't know, a few thousand people are going to see this. Are you going to beat Gabe in this workout? Because you're just talking shit upstairs, and now everyone knows that you were talking shit about Gabe. So.
Gabe loves to call workouts that are like all gymnastics, like heavy deadlift workout. Like we did that workout with deadlifts and toe to bar, and there was like 6 toes to bar. in
Answer
it.
the question.
Every
Really?
round.
What is
I
this
know.
like? What is
So
this?
I ain't
He's like a
scared of him.
politician. He's like,
I
well, I
is.
mean, if you think about this,
I ain't scared of him.
global
go.
warming,
You going to
Gabe.
beat him?
Yeah, let's go.
Right now.
Do it right now.
I think that shoulder shrug is international for I guess. If I feel like you're like,
I ain't scared.
It's international for I talk shit, but I don't know what's going to happen. That's what it means.
Maybe. So what? Find out tomorrow.
All right.
next thing I want to talk about a little bit is remote coaching and affiliate programming. Because of the wild success of our athletes and our affiliates throughout the Open so far, we are being flooded with applications for remote coaching,
Yes, we are.
for affiliate programming. We are adding coaches, we are adding slots, but with the amount that have been coming in, my guess would be if you don't apply between now and the end of the Open, a little bit after the Open, the slots are going to be full. So if that's something you want to do to commit to that 2016 season, go onto our website. There's a tab for remote coaching. It explains what you get with the remote coaching. It's got my email address on there. You guys can email me with any questions. There's an application on there. So coach@misfitathletics.com. Hopefully I got all kinds of spam now. Segue from that, and it's a question that I'll ask Seth.
Oh, no.
Gotten about a dozen emails in the past couple of weeks with people that are looking to switch from either their affiliate programming, some other website that they follow, to either remote coaching or to just follow the free site like most of the people do, and they want a reply as to why they should switch.
Yeah, I wish that was a question that could be answered in like 2 minutes, but It just comes down to the fact that we have kind of dedicated ourselves to studying the sport side of CrossFit since Miko Salo was competing, right? That's the first time we sat down and actually, downloaded all the videos and watched them methodically and kind of broke it down. And first time we saw the difference between the way athletes moved and why certain people won. And we've developed our program around the CrossFit Games season over the past, it's been like 5 years now. And we've just seen, 7 years with our gyms, 5 years with actually writing for competitors, I'd say. And we've just seen huge success. I mean, I'm not going to explain why I think that we are necessarily superior, but I just know that if you look at the leaderboards, the guys that commit themselves to us, we make sure they get their conditioning. We make sure that their conditioning is complemented as well as we can with strength and Olympic lifting. And we make sure that their skills are on point and that they're tested outside of workouts as well as under fatigue in workouts. And just our whole dynamic, the way we build our cycles and ramp people up, it just seems to work. And without tooting my own horn, I would say that the people that have committed to us in years past have made much faster progress than people committing to other sites. So if you go and look at people that have stuck with us for a year, 2 years, they're catching up and passing people that have beat them in the past. Those people are still training, still competing, still doing well. But I mean, you just look at the South Central region. I mean, the proof's right there, and we have them all over the country and some all over the world. But if you look at you just take Jordan Cook as an example, didn't make regionals before we met him, right? Couldn't get out of the open. Next year, he commits himself fully to us. Not only does he get out of the open and make it to regionals, he wins his region and then goes on and has a pretty good rookie performance at the games for someone who's really relatively new. Fast forward 1 year, Travis Williams makes a commitment to us at the celebration dinner for Jordan Cook. I will follow Misfit and I will make a big difference. He's now 26 in the world, second in the South Central behind Jordan. You look at Alexis. She followed a different blog that I won't mention last year. She did pretty good, made to regionals, was really lacking in some skills, lacking in some conditioning, lifted okay, committed to us. She is now 10th in the world in the open. So we just understand the sport and we know how to break things down for athletes and we know how to fill their fitness holes, plug all the holes we can. I know that sounds awesome. So I went there. We're going to plug your holes. And, I mean.
That's going to be the slogan for 2016.
Plug your hole. I'm glad I could come up with that.
What's the t-shirt going to look like?
No, but if I could just put something on top of that.
Please.
Yeah.
I mean, Cody is a product of exactly what we've been doing.
Yeah, you just named off some pretty crazy athletes. And this programming is amazing. And those athletes put all they had in to get where they are. You know, you can't take any credit away from that. They've done what they've done. But having coaches, that's someone that follows this blog, for me personally, to have coaches that are not just coaches but like friends, someone that I can count on, someone that I know if I send an email to that they will, they'll text me back or they'll email me back, something like that. That helps me stay with the blog. That helps me get better as an athlete every day, because if I had someone that wasn't putting as much effort as you guys are in, I mean, doing the workout when it's announced, letting us know what's happening, letting us know how you felt, things like that, that is a lot for you guys to do. And you guys work other jobs and you do as much as you possibly can to make sure that everyone that follows the blog is happy. And I think that is what helps get athletes where they want to be, because having someone that's not only your coach but a friend and things like that, it makes the days a lot easier.
One thing that's really cool about that, and I can literally take what Cody just said and spin it completely around in the other direction. You can go onto misfitathletics.com, go to the comment section on any day, and say why. Ask this exact same question and get it straight from the horse's mouth. You can really ask.
You'll get like 7 regional athletes and games athletes responding to you within minutes, more than likely.
You will, and one of the things that's awesome is, we could, like Cody's saying, and it's kind of the opposite, but it's still sort of the same thing. Like Cody's saying, the community aspect of this, Seth and I could have created this website, written this programming, and found nobody. Or we could have written this programming and people couldn't have really bought into it. And there's a huge community aspect where people really feel like they're part of the Misfit family, and it's kind of, these people are really buying into this. They're all in. if you post on there and say like my foot hurts, I didn't do number 3, someone's probably going to get on your case about it a little bit. Like, so it's been a perfect storm of a bunch of different things, and it's developed into something pretty incredible. And
just to even jump on this more, we talked about, I mean, I brought up a couple of the best athletes in the world, but a lot of our remote athletes are not going to regionals necessarily, but they're trying to improve in the sport of CrossFit, whether that's just crush their scores from last year's Open, make a dent in a local competition, whatever it is. These people are putting in almost as much work. They're putting in an appropriate amount of volume and skill for where they're at, and we're giving them the same feedback that we're going to give our games athletes. It's the same thing. So you don't think your goal should obviously be to improve, but doesn't have to be to make the games the next year.
No, it's just to make yourself the best athlete you can be.
Absolutely.
And the same thing with camps. I mean, quote me if I'm wrong, but most of your remote coaching athletes are from previous camps, right?
a lot of times when we go to camps,
Yeah,
people
in the
really
past,
feel like
yeah.
they made a giant step forward that weekend. And
So, yeah, I mean, so that just talks about our camps, too. I mean, don't feel like you have to be this high elite athlete to come to our camps. I mean,
Absolutely.
we're going over fundamental CrossFit things, functional movements, things like that, just trying to move as efficiently as possible. So it's if you're on that borderline of like, should I get remote coaching? Come to the camp, try it out, because that's a little bit of taste of what you're going to get every day. You're going to have that coach there.
I think we catch a lot of the really high-level athletes off guard, too, when they want to talk about something super high-skilled. And we're like, whoa,
Yeah,
you
let's
ain't
go
even
back over
there
the
yet.
wall. Yeah,
You've
exactly.
been faking it for the last couple of years. Let's break it down and go over what you really need to do. And just one example I'll throw out there, Alexis Johnson, 10th in the world, couldn't do a handstand push-up until about 2 months ago. They were terrible, just horrible. She knows it.
you'll see
Awful.
the difference here in a couple
And,
days.
Yeah, you will. And she's just improved. I mean, it's not even measurable. Well, it will be measurable, but it's just crazy how those little changes and stuff, the details we pay attention to, just turn somebody into a mediocre, struggling athlete trying to figure out how to break out into just, someone who can put their work out there and make a difference for themselves. So. Does that answer your question? That was pretty long.
That was.
Like I said, it's not 2 minutes.
It got deep, too.
2 minutes.
I got deep.
Wow.
Man, you're my friend, too. That was great.
This is 8A. Well, I guess that's it for this version of the podcast. Episode 8 is over, and thanks. We'll see you again in a week.
Good luck.
Peace.